Hi.
How you doing today?
Good. You can hear us and see us?
Yes, I can hear you, and I can see you.
You see both of us.
I can see both of
Okay.
you.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, thank you so much for joining the podcast. If you want, man, we can just jump right into this.
Yeah,
Man,
we're happy to.
I gotta be honest, I'm a little excited just to talk to you guys,
We're
man.
excited. We're equally as excited. Don't worry.
All right, let's start it off, man. I want to thank the Potash Twins, guys, aka the Takeout Twins, aka the Twin Horns of Joy, the aka musicians of the food world, and the pride of Omaha, Nebraska. Thank you for coming to the podcast. Man, we're gonna have some fun today.
Wow, that was like quite the introduction.
I
Thank
know.
you, Sam.
I hope I can live up to all that.
Well, I want to say this. I'm thanking you guys mainly because during the pandemic, I have learned a lot by watching a lot of your episodes, whether it be Beats or Bites, Southern Road Trip, or the Takeout Twins itself on the Food Network. And so you made a lot of days in the middle of a very, I guess, pandemic-y time. This is my first pandemic. Sorry, guys. This is my first one. So
Same.
all right, so you made it go past a little bit easier, and when you're trying to up your cooking game, you want to get eased into it, not necessarily hardcore chefs. Not to say you're not, but the whole thing about having someone that like gain your interest with music, and when a lot of those musical artists shows up on the cooking show, that kind of made me like it was my open door to you guys. And since we're talking about music, let's just get into it, man. The album is called Hornography.
Yeah.
It's coming out the 29th of this year, April 29th of this year, 2022.
We just moved it to May 3rd.
Okay, the album is coming out May 3rd.
Yes. You're the first to hear it.
All right, but other than you guys love a good pun, what is up with the album titles? What was it? Does it have a special meaning, or you just want to mess with us a little bit?
All of it.
Okay.
We're okay. So I feel like the one thing with us, whether it's TV or it's music, we kind of just find a way to funnel our creativity into what we do. And to me, I see the opportunity of coming up with an album name equally as fun as coming up with the music. And I think that when we came up with Hornography, it was like, we're not going to miss the opportunity to have fun with that.
Okay. Well, guys, I have been just in love with your backstory. Let's just really break it down for those who don't know. You are twins, identical twins that travel the world, eating great and making great food, playing awesome music. How does that happen?
Yeah. Well, I would say
A lot of luck.
but like mostly it was because of traveling for music that we found this love of like international and global cuisine. And whenever we were traveling somewhere, it was like the way to relate to wherever we were was either through the music or through the food. And through that, we would always find like incredible new things and new flavors and new tastes and new sounds. And whenever we would return home, we'd try to recreate that to some degree, whether that was a recipe of something we had eaten abroad or whether it was the music. And it all influenced what we're doing now. And, it's just another way for us to relate and another way for us to be creative. And music and food always were those two avenues for us to do both those things.
But guys, you guys honed in on it mainly because, like you said, music and food. We call them social lubricants over here, mainly because I talk to different people, obviously, and you better know like a few things. I call them the big four, whether it be food, music, sports, like who are we kidding, sports, and usually some type of spiritual angle. That usually, if you can hone in on any one of those with a person, you made a new best friend because
Totally, you're connected now.
those people are going to tell you one thing or another about what they think about one of those things. And let's stick more on the music. I mean, Adib, you studied under Dizzy. I want to say this right. Dizzy Gillespie's protege, John Faddis, as SUNY Purchase, while Ezra My man, you got a full ride scholarship to Manhattan School of Music playing bass trombone. Um, the reason I'm bringing this up, I have to do this. I have to ask this question. When you sit down and think about our generation, jazz doesn't exactly come up. I mean,
Mhm.
it's usually pop, hip hop, may probably EDM, the electric dance, some, but jazz isn't necessarily the first music genre that popped up. How did you guys like get into that and then want to connect that to the younger generation?
Yeah, so I mean, as horn players, there aren't really that many avenues for you to learn how to play
Your
your
instrument.
instrument. And for us, jazz was the natural progression because it's it has elements of technicalities that classical music has, but with the freedom of improvisation. And for us, it was like, wow, this is a way for us to be creative and really express ourselves and our personalities and our identities through our horns in a way that actually felt freeing and reactionary to other musicians. And something that we get to grow with a group of individuals who are also passionate about the same things. Um,
And to piggyback off of that's why this album Hornography is so important to us, is because when we were growing up playing jazz, we loved doing it, but our friends didn't listen to it and our peers didn't listen to it. And we were like, how are we going to get them to listen to jazz, or how are we going to get them to listen to what we're doing? And it's by blending the sounds that we love with the horns with music that they already identify with, whether that be hip hop, whether that be EDM or house, or I mean, pop. I guess there's elements of pop in there and funk as well. So our whole framework with this album was, how do we make music for everybody that doesn't necessarily, if you don't like jazz, that maybe you're not going to shut this album off. You're going to listen a little bit longer than you would.
but also jazzy enough that jazz listeners and jazz musicians will also completely see what we're doing and identify with it as well. So it's like, it's on one hand, like we grew up fully in jazz. I mean, went to music conservatories for jazz. We played with a bunch of jazz legends, and it's like that's where we come from. But our friends and family and fans didn't necessarily fully identify with jazz. They should know who Miles Davis is. They should know who John Coltrane is. They should know who Charlie Parker is, but they don't. So this is a way of being like, hey, here's horns for you in the modern musical landscape that maybe will funnel you into jazz and into those jazz greats that you really should know before coming here. But really, like, since you're not, here it is for you now.
And you make a good point. And one of the things I love about how you're doing it, it seems like you guys are doing it right. Mainly because, and I say this, I don't want to be flippant about it. You got a chance to see things in pop culture do it wrong. Like, and this is a reference I bring up all the time. La La Land, the movie La La Land.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ryan Gosling is awesome, but for me to believe two white kids from Southern California is just going to wake up one morning and save jazz, I don't know. But
Right.
then again, oh, go
Yeah.
on, go on.
I mean, La La Land was, in a way, very good by bringing jazz to a major motion picture like that.
Okay,
Having said that, it's not the story I would tell in that position.
there you go.
Right.
So, it's a very conflicting narrative there. Like, on one hand, we got a lot of comments being like, wow, like, what do you guys think about this huge movie that's telling this story about jazz? Again, not the story I would tell about jazz. I don't even think that conversation would even take place in Los Angeles if we're going to have
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
That conversation should take place either New York or somewhere in the Midwest, personally.
It should be either in New York, Kansas City, or New Orleans.
Right, but I mean, even New Orleans at this point would almost
I'll give you
be
Chicago. I'll give you Chicago too.
Okay,
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah.
You're right. I totally.
Like, New Orleans is where it started and where it happened and where a lot of the best musicians on the planet are from, that brought jazz to where it is now. But I would say if you're going to do a major motion picture about jazz, it would come off cliche being in New Orleans.
Yeah, no, it has to be New York, I think.
Or like, and I'm being a homer here. I'm being a homer a little bit. I say Detroit, but lower than those mainly because jazz here in Detroit spent off in the Motown and spent off is not
Yeah.
necessarily the core of where it would be. It's damn sure not Los Angeles. I just want to make that plain.
Well, and also, I don't know if you're familiar, there was an HBO show called Treme
Yes,
that
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
the
that was
great
perfect.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was such a great show.
And it had music and food as a through line through that as well.
But one thing,
It was The Wire just with food and more
yes.
crime.
Literally, we were that show. We loved that show. And I think one of the things that they did extremely well was balancing the main character being from New Orleans, but also like going to New York and showing what was happening with that in the jazz scene in New York. And that is a very important story and a very important narrative that is coinciding on two different timelines happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the conversation that we should be having. That like it's hilarious that it ended up being La La Land in Los Angeles.
But one movie I give, I don't know, if I had to give it a grade, like how I give La La Land, I give that like a D plus. But one thing, like in pop culture, and this is going somewhere, trust me, I'm going to get back to you guys. But the reason I'm getting into this when we sit down and talk about pop culture, I give this movie an incomplete, and this would be Whiplash. Because yes, you did good and you introduced the world to Charlie Parker, but you made this essentially unrealistic expectation of perfection from a guy who wasn't necessarily perfect, but did his own thing. So it's like a false introduction. So something like that, I would give it incomplete. And the reason I'm bringing it back to you guys is because you marry these things. And when we sit here and talk about pop culture, I got a chance to listen to Hornography, before everybody else. I feel special. So I hear the spoken word influences as well as a form of pop culture. What was the influences from those? Now, there's a lot of names to choose from on here. Please tell me what stuck out to you and what made the spoken word aspect show up so much in this.
Okay, well, two things. First of all, back to the Whiplash thing. I would say, like, look if there's anybody that can relate to the movie Whiplash, like it's two kids who went to music conservatory, jazz conservatory.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of feelings there about that movie. But to the spoken word point, one of our biggest influences is Robert Glasper. He's a dear friend of ours, and we're huge fans of his music. And I think the way that he intertwines spoken word into his music is genius.
Yeah.
And it is something that should be happening more in jazz and more in pop culture. And not that was why we did it for us. The reason we did it for us was because we have all of these friends that when we were during COVID, we didn't get to collaborate with. So when we decided to do Hornography, we said collaboration needs to be at the forefront of it, because we had 2 years where we were musicians that didn't get to play with other musicians, really.
Makes sense.
So we wanted to make sure that Hornography was a collaboration. Half of our friends are people that have been giving us words of wisdom throughout our entire career that weren't musicians, but were important people that we think had given us important life lessons that we wanted other people to hear in their own words. So that's why we wanted to have Terry Crews doing it, and Bob Saget doing it, and Andrew Zimmern doing it. And they all gave us different words of wisdom that we thought fit the album really well, that were different narratives, that were words of wisdom for everybody to hear in their own words. And we think it added to the music, because as horn players, people are missing from you the singing, the vocals, the lyrics. And one thing that spoken word can do is, in between those moments of horns, is it does give you an attachment to things being said that are important.
And hearing and listening to someone speaking, like literally just the voice.
One of the things about that is, and you're right, like, because you guys are accomplished horn players, doesn't it exactly leave a lot of room for lyrics? So having a spoken word aspect shows up. And I'm very curious, do you still keep up with those guys? Or obviously not so much with Bob Saget, and God bless, he just awesome in his own right. But when they hear of how you may have taken their voice or took those words of wisdom, is it kind of like a good response, bad response, or even in you guys, do you be like, oh man, maybe I should have did this one instead of that one?
They all love it. I mean, Andrew really loves his spoken word part. I know that Terry was so happy to be involved with it, and he's a huge fan of Robert Glasper, and they're very good friends too. So we wanted to put them on the same song. The response to them are great. I mean, they really. A lot of them are huge music fans that have never been able to do something on an album before, and they were so excited to be a part of it.
And most importantly, they're like some of our closest friends. So like the fact they just wanted to support us really in whatever way they could, and they were really excited to be part of this project.
I'm a big fan of those guys as well. And the fact that they were on the album makes me think, how do I say this? They get blended on because lately, and this is just a little insight into me, I've been on a Hot Ones binge. I love that show, but I usually wait for like I get a good number in a row where I can just sit down and just binge Hot Ones.
Right.
And some of the people you just named were on Hot Ones. So
I think all of them did Hot Ones.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Yeah,
Bob did, Andrew did for sure.
No, Terry did it, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess all of them did.
Right before, we set up time to do this, I saw Andrew's episode, and it's like, it's awesome. Please try this. Listen to the track he's on from you guys and go watch Hot Ones. And it's like two very different versions of Andrew, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, Andrew is one of the wisest people I know. I mean, think about this. He's been to every country more than one time, and that has to lend incredible perspective to a human being. Like, Imagine just all the people he's met, all the food he's tasted, all the conversations he's had, all the places he's seen and been to. And I think that was something that, well, first of all, he basically discovered us in the food world. So we owe a lot to him, and we are very thankful and appreciative of everything he's done for us. But we wanted to put him on this album because I think that he sees the world in such a unique way that a lot of people can take a lot from and learn a lot from. And that's why the album kicks off with him, because I think it just sets the tone for what you're listening to after you hear his voice.
Exactly. And that's what made his episode even, and I'm like speaking from personal example, because you hear this man just give you gems of wisdom, and then I don't know, 7 minutes in a Hot Ones episode, he's just losing it. And
one of the best things about Andrew too is he's incredibly playful and self-aware, and he's just incredibly funny too when he's gotten himself into a situation like Hot Ones.
But also can be incredibly serious and thoughtful.
Right.
Now, one of the things about Andrew, and I'm bringing this up to bring it back to you guys, I've always been curious about this. How are you guys looked at with your peers? Are you musicians that could cook, or cooks that are musicians? Like,
definitely
musicians that can cook. Yeah,
sure. There you go. All right, because there is a distinction there. And how long have you been food fans, or did that develop deeper in your life, or did you just wake up one morning and say, we want to do both, and that's it?
No, always loved food, but it was secondary to our love of music for sure. It was just that when we were starting to perform all over the world, that we started to look at food in a way that we look at music. And I think that that added a lot to just how we approach both things. But mainly it was through the lens of musicians, we saw food differently. We saw how when you're writing music, you're cognizant of texture, you're cognizant of harmony and how things blend together. And those are words that people use to describe food, and that was not lost on us.
And also the way that it ended up working out for us in the television and food stuff was a lot of our fans were chefs.
Mm-hmm.
So we were ending up performing at like the Aspen Food and Wine Festival and the South Beach, the Food Network Food and Wine Festival in South Beach. And through that, then we got offered these food television opportunities. So it was like because of the music, the food thing happened. So for us, it's like that's why music was always first for us. It was like that's just the way it was.
As I said in the beginning, what led me to you guys was Beats and Bites. That was the number one, because think I know a little thing about music. I don't know how to play, but I know what I like. And Beats and Bites opened up a brand new door, especially like with the other show, the Takeout Twins, which was perfect for a guy like me for these episodes that's like 15 minutes, about give or take. And it helps make people feel more accessible on my level at that time. I don't know if I'm the greatest chef or whatever, but I'm definitely not the worst. I'm nowhere near the best. But what I'm getting at is when you start honing in your skills that way, was that done deliberately, or was that just like we just want to give a nugget to people who think they know what they're doing? Because thank you if that's the case.
No, I mean, look at so when we travel for music, we're always eating foods that like we can't necessarily get here or wherever we are in the States. So it was always like in the hopes of being able to recreate some of these dishes that we've had all over the world. And one of the best things, like places to start, is with takeout food. Because generally takeout food is global food. It's not necessarily pizza or pasta. So and then what ended up happening is like we would end up having this repertoire of takeout food that we were particularly good at. And look at, we're musicians. We didn't go to culinary school, and we're able to recreate like some of these takeout dishes better than takeout restaurants are. So we were like, we should teach people how to make these. And it's anybody can cook any of the food on any of our shows. All that matters is preparation.
And another thing I'll add to that is we've never been the kind of food people or cooks that are think about food in a pretentious way. We think about food in a comfort food kind of lens. So we're like, we're never gonna make anything that other people can't do. Like we didn't, like Dee said, we didn't go to culinary school. So we're not gonna make anything that a person at home couldn't make.
Now, you guys, I would imagine, I know you did this before the pandemic. Now that things are easing up a little bit, especially with Hornography coming out, you're going to be back on the road. What is your number one foolproof takeout dish? It's late. You guys just got off stage. Everything's closing. I can't, AKA, mess this up too much, where this is your go-to. Do you have one, or do you?
Yeah, I would say our butter chicken dish or chicken tikka masala is one of those dishes that you can make anytime. It doesn't
In like
take
30 minutes.
in like 30 minutes or even less. And it like stays pretty well. So you can keep it in the fridge for a couple days.
Another one that I'll say is our cold sesame peanut noodles.
Right.
That you just boil water. That's the hardest thing to do.
If you can make pasta at home, you can make this dish.
Okay.
It's super easy, and it's basically peanut butter, soy sauce,
tahini.
Yeah, I mean it's like
chili oil, chives.
Yeah.
It's more about being prepared than being a good cook. If you have all of your ingredients in your cupboard or your pantry or your fridge, you can make anything incredible in about 15 minutes. If you don't have those things, you're shit out of luck.
Okay. Now, let's flip it. What if you're not the one cooking and you got to trust somebody else? Right. What's your go-to then? Where you just, maybe it may be a fast food place, a takeout, whatever. When you have to, trust someone else, what's your go-to then?
Really great question.
First and foremost, it depends on my mood, because most of the time I want some sort of Asian food.
Yeah,
definitely. I feel like I always want some sort of noodle or dumpling or
Szechuan peppercorn.
Yeah, the thing that I love about Asian food is it really hits everything. Spicy, sweet, salty, fermented, sour. Everything that you want can be accomplished that way.
Basically in one bite. So I think we tend to gravitate towards, Southeast Asian food, Chinese food,
Thai food, Japanese,
Indonesian.
Now, throughout your journeys, whether it be in the music world or whether it be in the cooking world, you get what's the word I want to say? Perception about both artists. Like we all heard it before. Erykah Badu said it herself. We're artists and we're sensitive about our shit, whether it be music, and I guess in your case it's about cooking. I'm sure it's the same across the board. Now I want to ask. This is we going into dangerous territory here.
Okay.
Blind taste test. Just off the top of the dome. There's no wrong answers. Can you name one of your favorite artists that you think can cook? And
Really good.
inversely, can you also name one of your favorite chefs that may be a good musician?
Love this question.
Best question I've ever gotten in my life.
Blind, like just off the top of the dome. There's no wrong answers.
There's a lot of musicians that would kill me if I answer this wrong. So that's why I need to think about it.
Okay. There's no wrong answers. You can think about it. Your mind may change tomorrow.
Well, I'll start with saying the chefs that can play.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
there's a ton of, okay, let's just say this. When you're a good musician, but you're not presented with the right opportunities, a lot of the time you're going to end up taking a job like being a waiter. You hear that all the time. And a lot of the times you end up in the back of the house working in the kitchen. And there are a few musicians who are incredible chefs that ended up being chefs or are famous for being chefs. One of them is Mark Vetri, who is an insanely talented guitar player, went to school for music for the guitar, who is a world famous chef.
We jammed with him at Jimmy Kimmel's house, and I was blown away at how good of a guitar player he was. He was amazing.
Also, Tom Colicchio, an incredible guitar player, who is a very famous chef.
Okay.
I'm really hung up on the musicians that cook thing, though.
Yeah, no.
Who do you think could? I mean,
Well, who do I think or who do I know?
Right, that's what I said. Who do you think could? Because the only way, and this is how my brain works.
Oh, I know right off
They
the
get
bat.
a chance to get on your show and prove you right, prove you wrong, but you get them.
I know one person, and I don't know. We're friends with her. I don't know if she can cook, but deep down I know she can cook. Lettucey.
Oh, Lettucey.
Do you know Lettucey?
Oh yeah.
There's no way
I said
she
that as
can't
a
cook.
fan.
Yes.
I met her one time, and she was so nice and she was so loving, and I just like, yeah, I bet you could. Yeah.
We love Lettucey. We're mutual fans of each other and have hung out a couple times, and she's incredible.
Really cool.
We've not gotten the opportunity to cook with her, but I know that she would put love into the food.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, since we're on the pop culture realm, I know you guys are talented musicians, and I want to talk about another talented musician. Lately, if you've been paying attention, I don't know how free your schedule is. Pusha T just made a diss track on the fillet of fish. That is a food item he loved. And then after think about it, now he doesn't like it so much. And quite honestly, if you heard the song, he almost hates it.
Okay.
You too. If you had to make a diss track on something that you thought was the greatest thing ever, and now you're not so sure. If you wanted to fire up those horns and make a nice little diss track, what food item would you pick?
For me, the bane of my existence is cake. I really don't like cake very much. I think it's really dry and the icing is way too sweet.
How is that possible? You don't like cake?
No, I don't really like cake that much. I think, first of all, anything that is generally made for appearances and not for flavor, I'm going to attack that. And then second of all, I think it's sweet on top of sweet on top of sweet, and I like a complex layer of flavors. And when most of the time when you have cake, it's just dry, it's sweet, and then the icing doesn't really add to it.
No, a lot of the time the icing is the Hail Mary of the cake. It's like, oh, we know our cake is dry as shit, so here's something that's gonna cover that up.
Oh my God, I don't know how to come back from that. Like cake is awesome. I don't really, because all right, I do agree. It is the sweet treat that you just want, and you do maybe an hour some change after eating it regret eating that much cake, but it's a reason that you go back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, look at, we can walk this one back because if we wanted to, we could also go after the cupcake.
Now you just crossing lines at this point. Yeah, all right, now you just cross. All right.
Wait, I want to answer this question too, and I'm thinking about if I wanted to do a diss track on food, this is an amazing. You have amazing questions. I love these questions.
Thank you.
If I were to do a diss track on food, I think it would be, oh God, what's something that everyone loves that I just hate or you hate?
I pretty
Like
much
you
like
use it could be a thing like Pusha T. You used to like it, but so
Right.
many people, and I'll give you mine. If you're still
Okay.
thinking, I can give you
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah,
I
let's
am
hear
not
yours.
I am not musically inclined. If you give me a few minutes, I can write a few bars. I can give you a nice little snippet of a freestyle diss track. But one of the food items I would just attack because I feel Pusha T on this one. I love this. Then everyone and their brother wanted to jump on it, and now I hate it now. Sriracha.
Sriracha.
Sriracha. Yeah, because when I first got sriracha, I love a good hot sauce. It was nice. It was like a little dirty secret to have it. Now
Right, it was.
everyone wants to put sriracha in everything, and
It
I'm
has
like,
no
man, I'm tired of
flavor.
Oh,
It has no
no.
flavor.
I'm not gonna. Here, I really like sriracha because I think it's spicy, it's sweet, it's garlicky, it's kind of everything I
But there's
really
a lot
like.
better. There's a lot better hot sauces with much
I
more flavor
know.
than.
I
Yeah,
know there's tons of different hot sauces, but sriracha just got so played out so quick because
Yeah.
everyone wanted to do something. So yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. You might disagree with me on that, but I completely agree with you.
I'm standing my ground.
Okay.
I'm still
Case.
thinking.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I'm still thinking. Oh, okay. I have one.
Okay.
I don't really care for hot dogs.
Go on.
Yeah, I think that like I'd much rather have, if we're talking about meat in some sort of bread vessel, I'd much rather have like a gyro or a shawarma than a hot dog. I think there's a lot of hot dogs. I've had lots of different hot dogs all over the world. I love corn dogs though, so I don't know what that says about me. Yeah,
Okay.
but
All right.
but I like Sonoran hot dogs, which is like a
It's bacon wrapped. And
it's a Native American and Mexican fusion kind of hot dog that you can get in Arizona, and that is amazing. And I'm sure that it really is comes from some regional Mexican cuisine more, but I like that. But I just don't like a traditional July 4th hot dog with ketchup and mustard. Also, I don't really like ketchup either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. Ketchup.
Okay.
I like, yeah. That's like the plain hot dog. Yeah, you got to freak it out a little bit. You got to have, like how you said, the corn dog. I'm with that bacon wrap, like Chicago hot dogs, where you put essentially another meal on top of the hot dog.
Pickle, yeah,
I can roll with that. Now,
okay.
I love asking these. We're getting towards the end, and I love asking these questions because you guys are just like I am. I love being a fan of something. And what was out of your whole career? It doesn't have to be the number one, but what was your favorite freak out moment where you guys looked at each other like, I can't believe this is happening? My God.
Yeah, right off the top of my head.
So Terry Crews had his 30th wedding anniversary, and we like get to our table for it, and Ez is in the bathroom and I sit down, and then a couple minutes later somebody sits down right to my left, like literally next to me, like Ez is here right now, and it was Stevie Wonder. And I was just like, there is no, like, literally how is he sitting right next to me? How is he here? He obviously is friends with Terry, and I couldn't get a text message to Ez fast enough, like, get back to the table, like, you won't believe it, like none of the words were coming out right. It was all,
I mean, we just found that opportunity so incredible to be able to tell him how much his music like means to us, and we were telling him, and he was asking us a lot of questions about our music and what we do, and we told them we played trumpet and trombone, and he said, man, y'all sure have a lot of personality for horn players. And I'll never forget that.
That's awesome. And
yeah,
lastly, I have to ask this question. It's going to be a bunch of people who listen to this, watch it on YouTube or what have you, maybe aspiring to get to your levels, but you have been blessed with a successful career. What advice would you want to give to others who maybe embark on this career path, this crazy journey? What would you tell them who's just probably getting started?
so if you're a musician, I would say get out of the practice room and just play in front of people, because that's the experience that you actually need. you absolutely be practicing, but literally, like, if you could be the best musician on the planet, but if no one hears you, it doesn't, like, it's only for you then.
You're not giving anything back to people.
Right, and music's all about giving back. On like kind of like career standpoint of maybe being like a personality, I would just say, don't be the best, be the only, be like literally the only something. That's something that Andrew taught us really early on. Like if you can be the best, but if you're not the best, be the only.
Okay. Sound advice. Guys, this has been awesome. We went a little bit longer than most, but this has been awesome. It's like it flew past. Look at it right down in the middle of your camera, mine, whatever. The album comes out. Please plug away. All
Hornography comes out May 3rd. Follow us on Instagram at Potash Twins for updates, and we can't wait for you all to hear it. It's been really an incredible thing for us to make this album, and I think it has something to offer for everybody.
If it's okay with you, I want to ask this. Can we play a couple tracks on the podcast so the pre-orders could jump in? Because I want everyone to feel what I felt listening to this. Honestly, we're amped up the excitement of why I wanted to talk to you in the first place.
Yeah, why don't you play the song Hornography for people?
Got it.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Okay. Personally, I am partial to Crypto Cowboy. Not to say Hornographies, man. Yes. I like Good, Bad, and Ugly. If I had to pick, those are the ones. I love Hornography, but I gotta say, like Crypto Cowboy and Keep Doing, I don't know, it motivates me a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, that one's a motivator.
That's awesome to hear which ones you like the most.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I do like Good, Bad, and Ugly too. It's just what my mood I think I need. If I had to have those, not to say the rest of the album, but those are the ones that stick out the most to me. I love Hornography because that's just like a jam. I could just have that while I like do stuff. Totally. But it's like if it was a soundtrack of me throughout my day. I'm babbling. I really like this.
Oh, I love to hear it. We love to hear it.
But yeah, Hornography. I'll make sure that I get on the podcast because I want people to hear what you guys are putting out. I ain't gonna give it all away, but I want them to
just a little taste.
Yeah, just a nice little snippet.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having us. It was an honor to talk to you, and we had a blast.
Man, you're welcome back anytime. This has been awesome. Thank you guys so much for just joining the podcast. This has been great.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, thank you. You guys have a great day.
Later.
All right, bye.